Hello everybody, my name is Costa. I'm your Technical Competence Manager from the Yaskawa Channel Partner TMC team. Today I'm going to be talking about the Ethernet IP coupler and how we configure it in the software with the I/O modules. Before I start with the configuration, I will explain you a few things about the Ethernet IP coupler with the article number 0531IP00. Here are the topics. We start with the properties, structures, LEDs, interface, address switch, configuration web page, and finally a live configuration with the software MotionWorks ISC3 Pro version in combination with the MP3300 ISC as CPU here. So we start with the properties. Ethernet coupler with Ethernet IP for maximum 64 peripheral modules. I/O access of up to 8 scanner, master, online configuration via integrated web server, RJ45 jack for 110 base TX, automatic polarity and speed recognition, auto negotiation, automatic recognition of parallel or crossed cable, auto crossover, network LEDs for link activity, and status LEDs for ready and error. So, the next topic, the structure. You see here the structure from the Ethernet IP coupler. And you see also here a list with all things what you find on this coupler. How you see this Ethernet IP coupler have an integrated power module. Please note, the terminal you can't remove because if you do it, then you damage this interface. You can't use them. Okay, now I show you how you put I/O modules to this interface. I have here I/O modules, a digital input module. You see on the side you have so a rail on the top and also a rail on the bottom. And here I put it inside in this rail. And this was it. Now my digital input is here, and also with the same progress with the digital output module what I have here, and also with the analog input module that I have here, and at last I have here also a counter module, and you see here very easy to put it inside. Okay, you see also on the top a locking lever. I open it, this lever, and I put it on my DIN rail from on here, my little application. Okay, and then I can close this locking lever from the top. And now you see this on my DIN rail at the moment. So, you need from this Ethernet IP coupler a power supply. I have prepared here my 24 volts plus and minus. And how you see here, you need from the interface a power supply 24 volts and also from your I/O cards, 24 volts. This is the reason why you need from pin 2 and pin 4 the plus 24 volt, and to pin 3 and pin 8 your 0. I have here prepared my 24 volts, and I have a bridge now from pin 8 to 7, and I put my 0 to pin 3. Okay, and I have here my plus for 24 volts. I have a bridge from pin 4 to 8, and I put the plus to pin 2. So the next topic, LEDs. On this Ethernet IP coupler you have an interface module and also an integrated power module. Please keep in mind this terminal you can't remove. This is one component with the interface module. And for each LEDs from this module you have here also a description. Next topic, the interface. Connection via RJ45 jack, one port by means of a RJ45 cable. And you see here the cable from this RJ45. Here my RJ45 cable. I connect my Ethernet IP coupler to an external switch, my NP CPU to the switch also, and my laptop to the switch, so that we have built up a network, a Ethernet network here. This what you see here is an external switch you needed so you can connect each component. Next topic, the address switch. This switch serves for the configuration of the IP address. On delivery, the switch 2, position 2 is switched to 1. Here the Ethernet IP coupler has the following IP address data. 3 times 255.0 as subnet mask and an IP address 192.168.1.1. You have here also from each position here a description. Please note, change of the IP address only take effect on power on or an automatic reset. Change during operation are not recognized. The IP configuration via the address switch is dominant. Configurations which are set by Ethernet IP, respectively web server, are valid, active when all the switches of the address switch are in position 0. Last but not least, the configuration of Ethernet IP coupler. You have 2 ways. The first way is via the web page. You see here the Ethernet IP coupler recognized automatically all modules, and you can change the parameter, and also you can save and delete via the web page the configuration and the parameters. The second way is to use the MotionWorks ISC3 Pro version. In the hardware, you add the Ethernet IP coupler, and you can also use then the modules and to change all parameters. So now we are finished with a little explanation. Let's get started with the configuration. So now we start the live configuration. Before I start with this configuration, we need to set the IP address on our Ethernet IP coupler. Important is to switch off your power supply and then to set the IP address with the switches. I use here the switch with the label number 4, and I switch it from 0 to 1. That means I have the IP address 192.168.1.4. Then we switch on our power supply. You see here now the LED is blinking. That's right, because we don't have a connection to our CPU. Next step is to bring our laptop in the same IP address area. Here we go to our settings from the laptop, to the network and internet, Ethernet, and on the right side the adapter options to change. In my case, I have a ASIC Ethernet adapter USB to Ethernet. I double click on this and then to our properties, and here Internet Protocol version 4 properties. You see my IP address from the laptop is 192.168.1.200. We are now the same IP address area. We can close the window, all the windows. And now you can open any browser. In my case, I open the Mozilla Firefox. And I put the IP address from my Ethernet IP coupler. And now you see on the left side the modules what we have connect to our Ethernet IP coupler are now red. We can here under configuration to delete what was in this coupler. With the delete button, I put it. Do you want? Yes, I want to configure. Okay, now we refresh the site with F5. After that, you see on your left side the modules from red change to blue. Then we have all delete from this modules what we have configured in the past. Okay, here you see we have a digital input, a digital output, analog input, and a function module, or better to say a counter module. Okay, you see here the parameters from the digital input, digital output, and also the parameters from your analog input. You can change it here. I have here a voltage module, analog input. And also you can here change your counter module, the parameters. You have two counters on this module. How you see here, the signal evaluation. Now we can activate. We can say here a pulse and direction, and counter function count endless. And if we are finished with the configuration from the parameter from each module, we go back to our device IM0531IP00 under configuration, and now we can say here save. The configuration information for device and modules has been saved. Okay, Important in this case is always to switch off and then to switch on the Ethernet IP coupler, that because they need a reboot so they can initialize all these parameters what you have configured. Okay, next step is the software. We use the MotionWorks ISC3 Pro version to build up a connection from the MP3300 to the Ethernet IP coupler. Now we open the MotionWorks software. You see in the middle from the software the workspace, on the left side the project tree window, and on the right side the edit wizard with all components inside that and all the blocks. And on the bottom you find here also error warnings informations, and on the top you have also all your buttons so that you can use it faster. Okay, in our case we open a new project and we have a MP3300 ISC and we confirm it with OK. After that, you see on the left side under the project tree your new project and also all libraries, the logical POOs, and also the physical hardware. Next step is to open the launch hardware configuration. You can open it here with the button Launch Hardware Configuration, and appears a new window with the hardware configuration. On the left side we configure our Ethernet IP coupler under the Ethernet IP, right mouse click and say here Add Device. If you click the Add Device, appears a new window and you can configure your Ethernet IP coupler. This is the first one. You remark it and to finish it. And here you put the IP address what you have configured. In our case we have the 192.168.1.4 and we confirm it with OK. Okay, now on the left side you see automatically they put the Ethernet IP coupler. We click on this and you see here a photorealistic hardware configuration from this Ethernet IP coupler. We don't have here modules. We can configure it and you find the module catalog on the right side. Our first module is the digital input, the 10211BF00. The second one is a digital output, 0221BF00. The third one is an analog input, the 0311PD30. And last but not least, we have also a function module, or better to say a counter module, the 0501BB00. Okay, now you see here also you have the possibility to change the parameters from your analog input. You have 4 channels and you have here the possibility to change it to S7, S5 voltage, and also to deactivate if you don't need it. Also your counter module, you can here you use 2 counter modules, 0 and 1. Counter 0, you see here also all the parameters, and you can say here also count endless, and also the signal evaluation. You can also change it to pulse and direction. Okay, after that we need to save this project. You find it on the top on the left side, save project. Okay, we have saved it, and now we need also to say connect to our MP CPU. The default IP address from the MP3300 is always 192.168.1.1. You see also on the top on the right side. Now we say here connect. And you see here also they ask you if you want to use a user startup configuration or the offline configuration what we have configured now. In our case we use the offline what we have configured, and then we can close our hardware configuration. Okay, now we have here our global variables on the left side under project tree window. We click on this, double click, and you see here the system variables. Okay, we don't need it. And you see also here the digital inputs, digital outputs, analog inputs, and your counters. They automatically configure it from the hardware configuration in the software. Okay, we can say here to save all this. So, next step is now to write a program in the software. We go to our project tree on the left side and we open the logical POUs, and under main and the last one main we double click on this. You see in the middle from your software empty software, and there on the right side we add a block. We used the second one, the end block, and per drag and drop you can put it in your workspace. If you want more information about the block, you can click the right mouse click, and under help on FB they open automatically a help function, and here you see this block. If you have two inputs are on, then you have the value from the output also on, otherwise you have always 0. We can close the help function, and I connect here two digital inputs from our module. Under the global variables you find the names from this digital inputs. I use here the first one. We can say here we remark it, right mouse click, and we say here copy, and we go back to our software block, and here and also the second input we can copy it and we put it on our block. Okay, now the two digital inputs we have configured. Now we configure also our output from this block, and we have also here our output module. I use here output bit. You'll find it also in the global variables. We have here open, and I use the first one here. Yes, I copy it, go back to my software, and I can say here to put it inside. Okay, now we have configured our project, and we can save this, what we have done. You find here on the top save, and we can also compile all this what we have configured here. Here you have two possibilities. You have the first one via, on the top you find the build, and via the make, or also with the button here, the make button what you have here. I use here the make button, and you see on the bottom they compile everything and we see 0 errors. So now we need here to open our project control. You find it under online project control, and you see here automatically the control panel. We download now the project what we have configured. You find here the button. We don't have an error. After that, it's very important to reboot our CPU, the MP, and also our Ethernet coupler. I switch off now both, and I switch on this. Okay, after the switch off and switch on, you see the two LEDs not more flashing. They have built up a connection to our CPU. Our control panel, we can say here now to stop the PLC. You see also here the LEDs, or also to start again the PLC. Now we see what we have configured if it works. Here I open now the global variables on the left side with double click, and I go online to see all the values. You have also here two possibilities here under online to debug, or also with the button here. Okay, I use here the button, and I see here all the values from your digital inputs, analog outputs, counter, and also digital outputs here. Okay, now we bring our two digital inputs to the value 1, so that we can see that what we have configured, it works. Okay, I have prepared here two wires with 24 volts, and I connect to my first digital input with the label 1. Okay, now it's connect the first one. You see also the LED are on, and also I connect my second wire what I prepared here with the label 2 on this digital input. Okay, and also you see the two digital inputs are on, and automatically our digital output here is also to 1. And that means what we have configured are right and it works. You see also now here in the software the values are true, two digital inputs, and automatically our digital output also true. Now we can also count here a value on our counter module. Important is that if you want to count something, you need to open the software gate in this module, and more information about that you find on our manual. And you need to open this software gate with the value 4 on our control word here. I click on this control word, a right mouse click, and I open the debug dialog. And I put it here, the value 4, so that we can release and open this software gate from this module. And enforce it. You see automatically the value 4. Okay, now we have a set to pulse and direction. I have here prepared a wire that I give a pulse on my first counter module, and this is the label 1, pin 1. And how you see here this count, and also in our software you see the pulse go up and they count it, and that also works. Alright, now we are finished with this tutorial. Let me conclude what we have done. We have learned some key technical data from this Ethernet IP coupler. More information you find on the manual. We have set an IP address. We have connected the wire for the interface and also for the power module. And we built up via the RJ45 cable a connection from the MP3300 to the Ethernet IP coupler. And finally, we have configured in the MotionWorks ISC3 Pro version from the CPU to the Ethernet IP coupler, and we write our program. Please feel free to contact me if you need any further information. Here my email address. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Until then, so long. See you in the next tutorial.